think Gordon Smith is the first one on the night from Denmark. Ted Ryman in Cape Town is on. Pedro Foiling Sailor back a little better walking at Balmoral this morning. Catch you in replay. Oh, back a little later, I think he meant. Good afternoon, Peter Taylor. We got Peter Taylor featured in the A block of this show, Julia.
Oh, good.
John Hanfield in Newport, Rhode Island, saying hi to us and the Fosies, of course. Philip Laffin, good afternoon from Davis Island in Florida. Tampa, Davis Island Yacht Club. Greg Phillips, the Gold Coast of Australia. Ed Worley down in SoCal as we get this show across the starting line. It is show number 711. We have a chain of convenience stores in this country called 7-Elevens. I should have done something clever with 7-Eleven.
You should have.
They used to be called, in Michigan, they were called Stop and Robs because they got robbed pretty much every night.
Oh, too bad.
Oh, goodness me. 7-Eleven for Tuesday, the 21st of May, 2024. We're in Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. As usual, I'm your host, Tom Eamon. Along with me is my co-host, your favorite host, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, my landlady, Julia, is here. I trust you are well.
Actually, I am.
Any hot tips?
Not recently.
Well, that's boring.
I know.
That is boring. As we get this one on the road, great show today. As usual, I think we've got a lot of water to cover here, a lot on the waterfront. Julia, can you ID that part of the world, in specific, that island nation?
Oh, I should. I recognize
Does that help when we give you the flag?
No.
That is Samoa.
Aha.
Olympic code SAM, formerly...
Westerns.
Yes, formerly WSM. The country was formerly known until, I guess, the 90s? Maybe it was before that. WSM. Peter Taylor's going ha-ha because he knows what's coming up. Clark Chapin in sunny and warm Plymouth, Michigan, where spring has sprung. 7-Eleven, Gordon Smith says, is an odd composite number. It is composed of two distinct prime numbers multiplied together, 3 by 3 by 79. He is such a nerd.
Oh, well, I'm glad to know that, Gordon.
Such an egghead. Back to Samoa, Julia, and their flag.
Yeah.
Remember the discussion from Friday's show about Samoa and American Samoa?
Yes.
There they are. Samoa, the bigger island and island nation. They are officially the independent state of Samoa, and until 97 it was, known as Western Samoa. It's a Polynesian island country, as most of you will know, consisting of two main islands, the two smaller inhabited islands, and several smaller uninhabited islands, including, how do you pronounce that?
Apia?
Alipata Islands. And that's Samoa, the main,
I told you that one of my favorite yacht club pictures is in front of the Samoa Yacht Club.
The Samoa Yacht Club or
No, Samoa.
The Samoa Yacht Club. Well, there's we're going to get to the name of the town in American Samoa in a moment, but Western Samoa, a.k.a. Samoa, is a rugby nation. In fact, Rugby World ranks them as one of the top 10 world teams in the world as of least of last year. John Hanfield commenting that, we've gotten some American NFL gridiron-type players from Samoa. Mm-hmm. Alan Long says, I always thought the store was open from 7 to 11. Well, I think it was. I think they're open 24 hours, at least the ones that don't get robbed every night. Hi, Joe Cool. Thank you for joining us. So that's that's Samoa.
Yeah.
Just the regular Samoa. Now, we want to go talk about this separate nation, or in this case, a territory of the U.S. of A., and that is that
American
territory's flag. The flag looks bass backwards to me, Julia.
Yeah.
It looks to me like that the thing should be going left to right, not the pointy end should be going left to right, not the other way around. But that, of course, is, can you pronounce the name of that
Pango
harbor?
Pango.
Pango Pango. You are wrong. I have done the research, and you are not correct.
Except that people in Pango Pango say Pango Pango.
No, they don't. As it turns out, I have had to do the research because you and Peter Taylor were both not correct. You made fun of me.
I learned the hard way.
Hang on here. We're going to get to that. But ASA
Yes.
is the Olympic code for American Samoa. ASA, they do field Olympic teams. They have fielded some Olympians, not in a while, not in several decades now. They've also gone to the Winter Olympics, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are maybe geographically challenged, there is Samoa, and to the east of that dot, that red dot, is the pin, is American Samoa, which it turns out, Julia, that it was nobody wanted it. It was fought over for a while by Britain, Germany, I'm not sure who else, maybe even Spain, but Britain, Germany, and the U.S., and it became a naval depot for the U.S. Navy, and they dropped stuff off there, and it was a bit of a base for them. This is, I thought, World War II-ish. It was not. This is before World War I. And finally, the locals, the tribes, said, we'd like to become part of the U.S., and they made some kind of a deal with the U.S. to become a territory.
Uh-huh.
Now they've been granted virtual independence. They're considered Americans. They don't pay federal taxes, and they don't vote in our federal elections.
What a good deal.
Yeah, exactly. No federal tax. Let's move there.
I'm going to say.
We'll move Sailing Illustrated there immediately, Julia.
Yep.
So that is American Samoa. It's a U.S. territory covering 7 South Pacific islands and atolls. Tutuila, I looked that pronunciation up. Tutuila, I think that's right. The largest island is home to the capital. Say it, Julia.
Pango Pango.
No. Whose natural harbor is framed by volcanic peaks, including the 1,700 foot and change high Rainmaker Mountain, divided between, that's what you used to be, divided between the islands of Tutuila, Ofu, and Tau, I don't know. And the National Park of American Samoa highlights the territory's tropical scenery with rainforest beaches and reefs. Mm-hmm. Now, because this is a sailing show, they also have the Sailing Association of American Samoa. I think it used to be called the American Samoa Sailing Federation, but they are now, I believe, known as the SAASI, SASI.
Uh-huh.
And it's made up of several sailing clubs. They provide programming for Learn to Sail with their Opti program, in addition to competitive sailing in the Optimist, Laser, Hobie 16, and the 420 class. SASI currently has 4 coaches. Maybe they need John Emmett there.
Yes.
That'd be a nice place to retire with
He'd enjoy
his
that.
bride.
Yeah.
4 coaches and 23 sailors. And Julia, have you been to that yacht club?
No.
And how's that pronounced?
Pango Pango.
It is not. And I was wrong. It turns out I was wrong too, and I admit it. But after the show,
Yes.
we got a call and then an email from one of our FOSI, from this gentleman, who is, you know who that is?
I know.
That is Peter Taylor.
Oh, that's Peter Taylor.
He's been here to San Francisco
Of course.
3 years ago by now, and his wife Jane,
Yes.
super FOSI that they are.
They are.
And he sent us this video.
Hi, Tom. I have to take issue with your last correction to Julia in the last Sailing Illustrated broadcast. I was actually instructed by, of all people, a Stanford alum about 30 years ago that Pango Pango is the correct pronunciation, as the Samoans pronounce the G as an NG. So there you have it. Never doubt a Stanford alum.
Never doubt a Stanford alum. Yeah, right. Well, I have to be very careful on this show not to make mistakes,
Yes.
or at least to fix them after we've made a mistake. I said Pago Pago. I was wrong. Pango Pango, that you and Peter assert is the proper name, is also not correct. Das ist nicht richtig. So I spent way too much time on the internet this morning checking you and Peter to be sure that it's not Pango Pango, and here, authoritatively, after extensive research,
I know.
is the proper pronunciation.
Yes.
From a guy called Julian or Julian, I guess it is in French, Miquel, and he's got 1.32 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's a wine guy, and he's already published over 50,000 videos. He's a cunning linguist. He speaks 3 languages, maybe 4 languages, and here is his authoritative answer.
All right.
We are looking at how to pronounce the name of the capital city of American Samoa. Many say it as Pango Pango or Pago Pago. Well, it's none of those. Pango Pango, Pango, Pango Pango is how it's pronounced.
Oh, yes.
And now you know.
Pongo, Pongo. And and that's
Yes.
what Wikipedia says, by the way, and that's what several others
Yeah,
say. Pongo, not Pango, Pango. In fact, it could have been like banjo. It could have been Panjo, Panjo.
No, yeah,
Pongo, Pongo is the proper pronunciation.
all right. I agree with that.
You do?
Yeah.
Wango Tango, Michael Frank is asking. Is there some rock song? I think Peter D. Taylor nailed it the first time. Well, Gordon Smith's just sticking up for Peter, his fellow Fozy. But wait, there's more, because once I got on this
I
guy's...
love the guy's voice, though. Wouldn't
Well,
you love to have his voice?
exactly.
You can say anything in that voice.
And you know, if you get up close to the mic and you get a little bass, basso profundo, you
Yeah.
know, but as he did, he's got a great voice. Plus, I like the music. You know, he's got the little Brazilian something
Right.
samba going in the back. But look, wait, there's more, because once I started checking into this guy's YouTube channel, 1.3 was it million? And 50,000 videos the guy has posted. He's a wine guy. I want to meet this guy. And he also solves another problem for us. Have a look at what Julian Miquel says about the proper pronunciation of,
Champagne?
no, close, wet. I've had I don't know how many arguments with people on how to pronounce this champagne, which will be back in vogue for this America's Cup, because Louis Vuitton, as it's properly pronounced, is back in action here for this next cup. Listen to this.
What is up, guys? Julian Miquel here of Social Vignerons, back with another wine video. This is how to pronounce Moet and Chandon, and more importantly, why you shouldn't pronounce it any other way. There is an eternal debate on whether you should pronounce Moet and Chandon or Moet and Chandon. So let's clear things up once and for all. It is true that in French, if you follow the rule by the letter, you should pronounce Moet, because the T at the end of a word like this is normally silent and not pronounced. There is even a French chef based in Sydney, Australia, Manu Ferdio, who argues online the following.
It's Moet et Chandon, but if you put the two together, it's Moet et Chandon. So the T, it's pronounced if you put the two names together.
Perfect.
This is factually incorrect. The simple answer is that Claude Moet, the founder of Moet and Chandon, was of Dutch origin, and in Dutch you wouldn't pronounce Moet but Moet. And for names of people, for proper names, you would adopt their pronunciation, not the pronunciation that is grammatically correct. Claude Moet would say, Moet, my name is Moet. So you ought to say Moet and Chandon. Then yes, there might be a debate on whether you should say Moet and Chandon, or the French way, Moet et Chandon, et being French for and. And obviously this is up to you. If you want to say it the real French way, you would normally say Moet et Chandon. But if you want to say it in English, you can easily, and you are allowed to say Moet and Chandon. That is perfectly fine.
He speaks Italian, Andrew Pindar. He probably knows how to pronounce Malchesine and Cagliari as well. Pindar makes fun of me. Now, I found that very informative, Julia.
Yes, it makes sense.
It is Moet. Now, how did I know that? That's because Bruno Trouble long ago told me, no, Tom, it's not Moet.
Yeah.
Anybody that says Moet knows you are a crouton. It's Moet. And now I know why. I had no idea why.
Yeah.
Because the guy was Dutch.
Yeah.
Claude Moet
Moet.
was
Yes.
Dutch.
Well, I didn't know that, and I think that makes perfect sense.
Dutch champagne, Ted Ryman is saying. Gordon says he's deaf as a post. Quite a lot of this is lost on me. And now Steve Ross is teasing me. It's round robins, not rounds robin. Who? This guy is great, though.
Yeah.
And I like the way he actually went after that French chef in
Yes.
Sydney,
Yes.
in Australia, too. Okay, so bravo Zulu to him. Thank you for clearing that up. Now we can quite be sure it's Moet.
Yes.
And if you want to say and or et, it's up to you. And it is also Louis Vuitton. You heard him. I don't know if I actually saw another pronunciation
Yeah.
from him, but you would know that. It is Vuitton, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We got to get this proper. In fact, I was complimented by Her Excellency, by the esteemed Vice Commodore of the New York Yacht
Oh,
Club,
good.
on our at least attempt. Hear me out, Andrew Pindar, you crouton. On at least our attempt to get local names pronounced correctly, properly.
Yes.
I think we owe it.
Yeah.
Like Ponjo,
Yes.
Pongo,
Pango.
not Ponjo. Sounds like a poncho, it sounds like.
Pango.
Pongo, Julia, repeat after me.
Pango.
Okay, well, thanks to this guy.
Yeah.
We got to get him on the show. He can
Yes.
probably teach us a lot of things. Speaking
Yes.
of the show, another show note, we showed you on Friday's show this cool new series that Musto is sponsoring, and not Musto, because that's how the Brits would pronounce it. And that is the technical clothing company, superb technical clothing company. And this show, produced by Musto and supported by World Sailing, the international governing body, the series addresses themes such as diversity within teams, juggling an offshore sailing career, and motherhood, and the opportunities for change. The docu-series, it's a 4-part docu-series, will air globally on terrestrial and digital channels through the World Sailing Show and on Musto's digital meeting on their YouTube channel. And that, we aired the first segment on Friday's show, and it was a great, wasn't that long either, 6-7 minutes, I can't remember now.
Yeah.
The second segment will be released on Friday, and we will air that on our show on
good.
Friday, this Friday. Part 2, diversity or clones. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's this Friday's show. Julia, what are we celebrating today?
Oh, well, tea, maybe.
It is tea. And what are we celebrating about or with tea?
The proper way to serve it.
Who's 850 TBM?
I don't know.
Yeah, who cares? Mom is the sailor champagne.
I know.
There's Suzuki. Now, he lives in France. Matt says Moet's home in Epernay is now a B&B in Champagne. Lovely spot. Salo Illustrated. Pronounce Chalmondelay. Chalmondelay. Is that close, Gordon Smith? Okay, everybody's making Tea Party, Boston. Julia, what are we celebrating today? Take a guess. Do you give up?
I just remember Martha Stewart serving it.
Do you give up?
Yep.
It's International Tea Day.
Oh, well, that was
The
close enough.
proper way to serve tea, Graham Sweeney in Scotland says, is not to throw it in the Charles River. Referring to Boston Tea Party back
Yes.
in the
Yes.
mid-1700s, was it? It's International Tea Day, and projections show that I just excerpted from one of these many articles about it. It's a big deal. It's celebrated. It's one of these stupid United Nations holidays, I suppose. Not so stupid.
No.
It's the world. As the world population increases, so will the number of tea drinkers. Tea enjoys great popularity in India and China, and of course elsewhere. These two countries alone account for 37% of the world's total population, meaning a substantial number of tea lovers reside in India and China, you think? According to legend, Emperor, I didn't know this is a legend, Shen Hung, Shen Hung of China discovered tea when leaves from a tree blew into his pot of boiling water. Do you believe that?
Of course.
He he loved the hot liquid, and humanity has not looked back ever since. Julia, I ask you a question.
Yes.
Where does tea rank in the pecking order of beverages consumed in the world according to the United Nations and any number of other sites?
Well, it's high.
It is high. What's number one?
Water.
Correct. You're so smart. I wish I went to Stanford. I could be as smart as you.
The second maybe beer, but
What's number two?
tea may be number
It
two.
is tea. See, I told you you're smart. Look at that. She is so smart. It is number two. Which countries drink the most tea?
I think they just told us.
No, they didn't. You think it's China? That's what I thought. It would be China or India.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's not.
England.
No, it's not. According to TRT, which is a Turkish state broadcaster,
Which countries drink the most tea?
Afiyet olsun.
Turkey. Ireland, number two.
Really?
Yes. Number three is the UK. Number four is Iran, and then Fritz Mueller and Gordon Smith are chiming in with number five.
Really?
Russia, yeah, big T. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
I guess that's to put away all of the the vodka they drank the night before. Those are the top five. Not China.
Interesting.
Not India. The Turks are nuts about tea, Hanfield is saying. Gordon Smith knew it was Russia. Fritz Mueller knew it was Russia. Okay, that's what they say. And who knows what kind of tea they're drinking, but I guess...
Well, there are a million kinds, and there are a lot of good ones.
Stingray, of course, making a dirty joke. Julie, get your finger ready. All thanks to the impressive Emperor Hung Then. David Leahy is joining. Hello from London, UK, where they're the number 3 tea drinking country. Ted Ryman, the only place to get a proper cuppa is the UK. I had a video of the Savoy, and I've stayed at the Savoy a couple times. And when we're in London, we usually go to the Savoy to have an afternoon, not tea, but to have a proper one. They have a couple proper cocktails over there, as Peter McDonald and others from the It's Okay team will attest. Mm-hmm. But I thought if I played that, you all would think even more poorly of me. The Fozy would think even more poorly of us, Juliet, than they normally do. We don't think poorly of our Fozy, though. Thanks for your support, especially those of you who are patrons who have joined via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. That makes this beautiful studio possible. I hope we've gotten rid of the hum. I think we've also improved the audio a touch since our last show. And I'm very pleased to report that we continue to upgrade our little situation
Graham
here.
Sweeney imports his brand of tea directly from China.
He does?
That's what he said.
Well, he's very sophisticated.
Yes,
That guy is very sophisticated.
he is.
What Hanfield is saying, Turkey has never let up on the tea addiction from the Ottomans. Pindar, anyone who is interested in learning more on the progress of women in performance sailing and are in the New York area this week, please come along to the South Street Seaport on Thursday afternoon for the a Magenta project and a Mocha gathering and presentation. Great. Okay.
But that would be good to do.
That is good to know, too. Thank you for that. Thank you again to all of our supporters, our patrons who keep us. This is viewer-supported media, as Jeff Waller is now saying about his show as well, because it's true, it is, and we appreciate it very much. There is our cover slide for today as we get into the Bravo segment, the Bravo block, or the B block of today's show. Bravo Zulu, no pun intended, to those two there in our cover photo, because they have won again. They have repeated their Formula Kite World Championships in the air last week, Nolot and Maeder. They've won their second back-to-back world titles, and they did it in very impressive style. Max Maeder, whom we've talked about on this show, we've had some videos of him. He's young. I think he's only, 17, 18 maybe by now. And Maeder and Lauriane, how would you say it in French, Julia? Lauriane?
Yeah.
Nolot,
No.
have successfully defended their titles at the end of the Formula Kite World Championship a couple days ago in Hyères in the south of France. There have been times over the past week when others rose up to challenge They're not sailors, they're riders. Others, some of you will argue they're also sailors. But the riders from Singapore and France, respectively, but in the end, Maeder and Nolot are just too good for the opposition. And I was asked earlier today if we know if Max Maeder is a relation to, what's his first name? Help me out. The famously good America's Cup sailor, big boat sailor, who is Swiss, Michel Maeder, and a good, longtime friend of mine. And we've done a couple campaigns together. He's a jolly, smart, terrific guy. I used him in a lot of the shows we used to do because he was so much fun. And of course, speaks 5 or 6 languages.
Oh,
Michel Maeder. As far as I know, they are not related. Maybe cousins or something. Maeder's a good German name, but Michel Maeder is Swiss, and Max is in Singapore, needless to say. So, bravo Zulu to them. Here is the video proclaiming their win.
Max Maeder and Lauriane Nolot have successfully defended their Formula Kite world titles. There have been times over the past week when others rose up to challenge the riders from Singapore and France, but in the end, Maeder and Nolot were just too good to be beaten. The semi-finals earlier in the afternoon produced some drama. Race wins by Tony Vodicek of Slovenia and Lorenzo Boschetti of Italy pointed to their potential for breaking through to the final. But France's Axel Mazzella got through to the final 4, only to get tangled up with Italy's Riccardo Pianozzi soon after the start. This left the way clear for Maeder to win the world title at a canter. So Singapore takes gold, silver for Pianozzi, and bronze for Valentin Bontus of Austria. Ellie Aldridge was the only non-French rider in the women's final. While the British rider couldn't quite beat Nolot to the world title, Aldridge took silver, with France's Jessie Campman getting the bronze. The next time we'll see these riders on the start line will be this July at the Olympic Games.
You see, even Andy calls them riders. I mean, they're riders. It's a different sport. They should have their, I'm sorry, I agree with Paul Henderson. I agree with John Hanfield. They should have their own federation. They should expand this discipline of this water sport and do their thing, the riders on their boards. But in the meantime, it's going to be an interesting period of time because here are the women, the overall standings. You can see Nolot, is that how you pronounce her name?
I think so.
Is that how Andy pronounced it?
I don't know.
There's the podium. And by the way, in the finals, and they have not a 3-boat final, they have a 4-boat final, right? Isn't that how that works? Somebody help me out. I think they have a 4-boat final in their final run, and fully 3 of the 4 finalists were French. Much to the pleasant surprise of the Brits and others, Eleanor Aldridge from the UK finished 2nd. And see, the Brits, they have a way of winning. When the going gets tough, the tougher get going. I'm not sure what it is, Julia.
Yep.
But bravo Zulu to the top, well, at least 5, if not hopefully 7, because our
Daniela.
favorite daughter
Yeah.
here from St. Francis Yacht Club, Daniela Moros, finished 7th. We'll talk more about her at the end of this segment. She's been the perennial leader, winner, like a 4-time world champion.
Mm-hmm. But she did her kites weren't that shape.
I think the kites are one design now. I think they issue the kites. But John Emmett says absolutely no surprise that Ellie was on the podium. So bravo Zulu, regardless to them, and we'll see if our St. Francis Yacht Club fellow member Daniela Moros can get back get the big Mo back, because she's been struggling in the last several regattas. Some people said, oh, well, don't worry, she's just tuning up. But hopefully that's the case. There are the men, the Singaporean on top in the middle. But look there's 2 Italians, and otherwise every other of the top 10 is a different country, right? Germany, France, the 2 Italians, Austria there, Croatia, Slovenia, Brazil, and Cyprus.
Yeah.
This is a hotly contested discipline, irrespective of whether you call it sailing or not. It's cool stuff. I agree with John Emmett.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I think it's wonderful that there that different spread of nations. is there.
Absolutely. And that's sort of what you see in the laser world.
Yeah.
And of course, the laser is the one class the U.S. did not qualify in
Yes.
for the next Olympics. Okay, so there are the top 10 men. Max on top, of course, Ricardo second, Valentin in third, the Austrian, Axel Mazzella from France in fourth, then Germany, Italy, Croatia, Slovenia, Brazil, and Cyprus, as we mentioned a moment ago. Bill Canfield, past president of the Virgin Islands Sailing Association, far more competitive now. Before, there were only 10 women were competitive. Yeah, good point, President Canfield, Bill Canfield. Mm-hmm. Father, the more famous father of Taylor, or is Taylor more famous than Bill at this point?
They're both famous.
Bill is famously good, that is for sure. Good man that he is, and we sat together on committees and councils at World Sailing when it was ISAF and IWRU, and he did a great job representing not only his corner of the world, but bringing sanity to the meeting tables at what was then ISAF and before that IYRU. Bill says very humbly, he says Taylor is by far more famous. But now this just back to these two winners. After a few days rest in Singapore, this is about Max obviously, the hard work begins again for Maeder. Quote, "My competitors are going to be better and they have learned a lot during this event. So there is more training ahead. There are still things to improve. There are still lots of things that I've learned this week. So we will put in the time to work on them, to refine them, to make sure that everything is set and in order and even better for the games." No doubt that Maeder and Nolot have marked themselves out as the favorites, as we said in today's show notes, when I posted them last night, for the favorites for gold at Paris 2024, actually Marseille. But the game changes quickly in Formula Kite, and all the athletes will spend the next 2 months working hard to up their game before the Olympic regatta in July. And that's also Andy Rice writing that. So good stuff. Good stuff. And he's the it's Andy Rice, right? Yeah, he's the class publicist as well and does those videos. And bravo Zulu to him as well. Good PR, good for this discipline, current discipline of our sport. And then speaking of 7th place, Daniela Moros. Can she get her mojo back? Don't count her out. She is a tough competitor. She's old. She's all of what, 23 or 4?
I know.
Julia.
With 4 gold medals behind
Somebody
her.
maybe one of the foes will Google her and tell us how old she is. But she has had an impressive record. Here it is. 6-time, not 4, I said 4. 6-time consecutive world champion Daniela Moros from Lafayette, California, which is over in the East Bay, will compete in her first Olympics in the kiteboard's debut appearance at an Olympic Games. Moros is a 4-time U.S. Rolex, that's our top yachtsman and yachtswoman of the year award. 4 times she's the yachtswoman of the year and 2-time finalist for the Rolex World Sailor of the Year at World Sailing. She's a 4-time European champion and the reigning Pan Am Games champion.
Unbelievable. She's so good and she's so nice.
And she is nice and she's smart. And Max Maeder is too. I remember the video we played of him and we were all pleased and impressed with how articulate. A young guy. Again, he's what, 17? Tucker is working for Daniela Moros, kite caddy. She is 23. Thank you, Wendy Atterbury. Thank you. Tucker Atterbury, that's your Tucker, right, Wendy? Indeed, a kite caddy. So there's another thing we don't have in normal sailing, Julia, is our own caddies. Carry our equipment around for us like a golfer.
I want my own caddy.
You've got your own caddy. He's going to take you over to San Francisco Yacht Club tomorrow night, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Your caddy is. The same caddy that takes you to your doctor's appointments and sometimes to St. Francis.
Yes.
I'm speaking tomorrow night at San Francisco Yacht Club, doing an America's Cup date. The America's Cup then and now, and I'm going to make some predictions about the America's Cup tomorrow night
Oh, good.
at San Francisco Yacht Club. If you're a San Francisco Yacht Club member, you're more than welcome, and if you're not, I think you can probably call the club if you're a yachtsman or woman in good status, in
Yeah.
good, what's the word I want?
Standing.
Standing. Thank you. Good standing at a Bay Area club, you probably would be welcomed over there. So it will be a Works on the Beach, the Caddy. John Emmett, I see zero benefit in splitting up the various different sailing events into different federations. Well, I'm not talking about the various ones, John. I'm talking about this one, and this one only, frankly. Okay, not windsurfing, not, just this one, which is a different, to me, kettle of proverbial fish. Okay, Daniela, get your act together. We're cheering for you, a lot of us, not only in the States, but beyond, as there's only 66 games left, John Emmett, or days, did I say, 66 days left to the start of the Olympics. John and I were having a back and forth on that this morning. And I hope before the Olympics, but I doubt it'll happen. In fact, it probably should not happen now, that get ready, you guys, get your, the non-sailing CEOs got to go. And at this point, we need stability in the U.S. program, the U.S. Olympic. Don't just settle the lawsuit. This guy, he wants, I'm sure, so badly to go to the Olympics and I'm head of the U.S., I'm the CEO of the U.S. Sailing Association, and have his 5-ring fever. What's the word I want? 5-ring fever. I need an F word. Sated. 5-ring needs to start with an F. 5-ring fever. Flaunted. That's not exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Collingridge, Emmett's good friend, good guy, Neil Collingridge from the UK. Someone at the RYA said to me, quote, if GBR has a chance of a medal in it, we call it sailing. Pop, clink, cheers. Stingray is saying, yes, the non-sailing CEO's got to go. And maybe not before the Olympics. Let him go have his old... No, don't. Get rid of him. The sooner the better. We don't want some crouton like that running around at the Olympics saying that he's the CEO of U.S. sailing after the mess of which he has made you. How's that, Julia, to get my grammar right?
Oh, it's
The mess
awkward.
he's made of U.S. sailing.
Yeah.
Hanfield says he's starting a GoFundMe to get him to be sent live with Rugby Andy, to go live with Rugby Andy. The non-sailing CEO's got to go. Sooner better. 5-ring Fuster Cluck. Tom Pace. Yeah, past Commodore of the Pensacola Yacht, the esteemed past Commodore. This guy did a hell of a good job by all accounts. And nice to have Tom Pace on here again. Time to move to John Emmett's report, the Coaching Corner. I think we've renamed this, Julia, the Coaching Corner. Not just the Coach's Corner. It's not just for coaches or about coaches. It's the Coaching Corner.
Yeah, okay.
Do you approve?
Yes.
John and I agreed that this morning. Regardless, here's John.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. You join me again on my sofa, so no crash hat required. Absolutely delighted that we're going to look at the kite surfing. I think it's such an important thing that all of us need to embrace all aspects of sailing and the personalities and the people, and just encourage everybody to spend more time on the water. So really looking forward to today's show. So without further ado, welcome to John Emmett's Coaching Corner, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about prevention rather than the cure. Now, perhaps this is most obvious in the physical side of our sport. So it's better to build a really strong core than it is to wait until you have lower back issues before you do something about it. This prevention rather than cure, okay? It's also very efficient in terms of your time, your money, and avoiding pain. So I think physically it's very obvious that's something you need to do. And actually, if you do a transition, for example, from an Ilka to a fin, you know, you would look very much at having a large volume of training before you made that transition to get up to the correct weight and to be strong enough and fit enough and so on. The other side, which is more general life, is actually our health, and health and fitness are really not the same. We probably saw that a little bit in the pandemic, where some of the healthiest people that we know are not necessarily the fittest, and vice versa, where people who were very fit perhaps had their immune system quite low and they suffered really badly. Now, when we talk about medicine, a lot of medicine is actually about a cure. So we have statins or whatever to reduce our cholesterol after it goes high. But we can deal with a lot of these things with a healthy diet. In fact, I think you can almost think that food is medicine. Now, I'm not preaching that we have to be incredibly angelic 100% of the time. I think, a 90-10 rule is fine. It's absolutely fine to have a beer after your Wednesday evening racing or whatever you want to do. Have that little bit of cake every so often. But to be healthy most of the time, it's much better to get that nutrition and stuff from food rather than supplements. And that's why a complete diet is so important. As soon as you start eliminating a type of food group, whether it's fat or carbs or protein, you may end up losing weight, but that's not actually a healthy thing. Your body needs a complete range of food types, this rainbow diet. It's something we talked about a lot, but I was just going to give you my top tip about supplementation. And I think it's really important to think that actually some things are very hard to get from foods. So I was going to talk to you a bit about glucosamine. It's a good example of something that's not very much in our diet, and we probably have less as we get older, and it's something that is important for our joints, even if the science out there doesn't exactly know the mechanism. I think it's definitely something that's worth considering if people have joint issues, which we may get when we get older, or just because we're pushing ourselves really hard. So that's my top tip for today.
Yeah, a little abrupt ending there, and that is his top tip for today. Thank you, John Emmett. From the coaching corner, John Emmett sailing, get to the front of the fleet. Our regular reportage from John. Appreciate it very much. And anything that you can do for our joints, Julia, I think is much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Especially my poor old back. Clayton Embley says, I'll create a bourbon drink for his departure, meaning the departure not of John, but of the non-sailing CEO. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and Graham Sweeney arguing with me, so not arguing with me, but I think agreeing that if a sport can stand tall upon its own merits, then why would it need to integrate with the sport of sailing? They should grow upon their own merits, grow through their popularity. It's time to grow up, Graham Sweeney's saying. Mm-hmm. Okay. Holtzman is saying, yeah, particularly my poor old knees. He could use some joint work as well. Okay, John Emmett, thank you very much indeed. As we move forward now to the C block and what happened on this day in history. Julia, 21st of May. Now, I did see that on this day, it's the day that I don't know if they celebrate it in New Zealand, particularly in these woke times down there and other places. But this is the day that the governor, the first governor general, whoever the guy was that was appointed by the Crown to take over New Zealand on behalf of the Brits. He'd gone to Australia, he went down to New Zealand, and he enforced, in every sense of that word, he forced the treaty onto the local tribes.
Yes.
On this day in history. But I didn't think that was appropriate to cover that today. We might get some people upset at us.
Yes.
So we did something a little more ecumenical and something everybody can get behind because it happened in 1881, Julia, and here is your first clue.
She was the bow on the first America's Cup.
The bow. She was a tough lady. Probably could have been. The first cup was 1870 after the 1851 AC0. So it's in that same era. And she lived to be 90 years old, her name Clara Barton.
Aha.
Does that ring a bell?
Indeed.
Who is Clara Barton?
She started nursing.
She did start nursing during the Civil War, which led to, here's your next clue.
Red Cross.
She convinced Abraham Lincoln to let her what's the word I want? After the war, the Civil War in the 1860s, to convince President Lincoln to give her some money and let her go find put back together the soldiers, and not just the Union soldiers, but the Confederate soldiers with their families. They'd gotten spread out. They were in camps and they were injured and hurt. So she not only got kind of nursing going, some practices of which are still used today. This is before antibiotics, of course.
Yes.
You got a bullet wound, you were likely to die from the infection, not from the bullet. But yes, as Clayt Embley is saying, and Steve Gruber and any number of others, she started the Red Cross. Now, her first mission, believe it or not, was in Michigan. I had no idea, having grown up in Michigan. September of 1881, after she got the Red Cross off the ground, there was and again, Clark Chapin or Joe Holtzman, I don't know, Joe's from Toledo, but same area. I don't know if you knew this, but it was in 1881 that Clara Barton not only founded the Red Cross, but that organization's first major disaster relief was for the casualties of Michigan's Thumb Fire of 1881. And apparently what happened, Julia, was there was there were fires in Chicago and over on the other side of Lake Michigan, Wisconsin, I'm not sure. And they're still not sure. It was a very dry summer, the summer before, and it continued into 1881. But they think there may have been a meteorite that
Really?
went streaked across the sky, and some of the bits dropped into the dry tinder over in Wisconsin on the other side of Illinois on the other side of the lake, and in Michigan's Thumb area. You can always tell somebody from Michigan because they hold their hand up and they say, "Oh, I'm from here, down here," or "I'm from up here." So in the Thumb area, and apparently burned the hell out of the thumb, no pun intended. And she went there and set that tent up, among other things, and started taking care of all the people who were displaced. The cool and very smart and very, apparently you could not say no to her. She was very persuasive. She was still living in Washington when the American Civil War began in 1861. She was born in the area in Maryland. During that time, she bravely provided nursing care and supplies to soldiers, activities that ultimately defined her life and earned her the nickname Angel of the Battlefield. When the war ended, Clara found new ways to help the military. With permission from President Lincoln, she opened the Office of Missing Soldiers, helping to reconnect more than 20,000 soldiers with their families. During a trip to Switzerland in 1869, so the Europeans were a good influence on her, Clara learned about the Red Cross movement in Europe, a European humanitarian effort to provide neutral aid to those injured in combat. Inspired by that cause, Clara volunteered with the International Committee of the Red Cross, providing a civilian relief during the Franco-Prussian War. This experience, along with her work during the Civil War, inspired her to bring the Red Cross movement to the U.S.
Good for her.
So bravo Zulu to her. She was inspired by you Europeans, so another good influence of the Europeans on the U.S. with the founding by Clara Barton of our American Red Cross, which is, you know, there's some great charities in the world. You think about the lifeboat society, lifeboat in the UK. They have all the kind of the equivalent of their Coast Guard or local Coast Guard activity. Right. And what's the name of that? The Lifeboat Society?
I don't know.
And come on, you Brits, help me out. And then the American Red Cross, and on and on. RNLI, thank you, Andrew Pindar, the Royal Naval Lifeboat Institute.
Aha.
I knew we'd get that if we got, thank you. You mean Lower Michigan? Yeah, Alan Long. Clark Chapin saying that his son, the very talented Bill Chapin, who's a journalist and other things, went to Northwestern. Billy wrote a song about the Thumb Fire. I'd never heard of the Thumb Fire, having grown up there. I'm a crouton.
I've never heard of it either. Your mother grew up there.
Yes, she did, but up north.
Yeah.
This day in history, 21st of May, 1881. Okay, let's get to the America's Cup, because there's been a fair bit going on there, and with the help of Stingray, we'll update you on what's going on with boats and their locales. First, this photo, this image, which I thought was very cool, and I posted on my Facebook page and got a lot of comments. Posted it over the weekend. This was before Luna Rosa Prada Pirelli left Colliery, Andrew Pindar, Colliery. And you can see the teams are, and have been for any number of years now, experimenting with different sets of foils on port and starboard sides. And here you can see the relatively flat foils on the starboard side, and then all the anhedral, the downed effect, the angling of the foils on the port side. Amazing difference. And the fact that they're still testing these radical differences in the foils, maybe that's good news, but maybe that is also bad news, that they are still so undecided about their own foiling configurations at this late stage.
Well,
But,
it's new.
well, maybe it is, but that's LRPP in Sardinia before they left. Now, that image got these two posts from Fosey on my Facebook page. That from Graham Sweeney. You know what those are? He's asserting, as is Jonathan Frank, that those foils in that boat looks like Ronald McDonald. Those are Ronald McDonald's boots. Jonathan Frank sent that in. I don't know if that's fair. The colors certainly are right, and he's got his feet out like the foils.
Well,
If that team does not do well, and a lot of us think they are going to do well, but I'm starting to wonder now, but if they don't do well, that image with Ronald McDonald is going to haunt them, I guarantee you. Not testing, just lead time on new boards, Britton Ward is saying. And are you saying that? Britton Ward, who is the head of design for American Magic. Welcome, Britt. Nice to have you on.
yes.
That's not the meaning Luna Rosa's not testing? You mean Luna Rosa's not testing, or is it because they're producing their final set of foils and they don't have them ready yet, so they've just got to use what they've got in the boneyard? That's what Britt Ward is saying. Pics show the big difference in foil and the strut. They need the baseline of the old foil for comparison and validation. So Britt maybe has got...
He says later, old foils are shorter span and on shorter arms than AC-37.
Okay. Very good. Interesting. We're going to get Britt on here. As soon as the team will let him come on, as soon as they get all these boats there, Britt has promised me, at least, I hope he's got permission to do it, to come on and give us the differences, the compare and contrast, as we were taught to say in 5th grade. Britt is also saying the second set on LRPP for launch in BCN. Yeah, because once they launch, once they splash with whatever they're going to use, if whatever they're going to use, that's what they are locked into, as Britt explained to us once before.
Yeah. What if that's a good idea?
Well, it certainly helps to cut down on the arms race.
Yeah, that's true.
Bill Canfield, when McDonald opened in St. Thomas, Ronald got beat up and left in an air ambulance. Oh dear. Okay. Well, there's Luna Rosa. Speaking of not the devil, but speaking of the team, we showed that to you on Friday as they were leaving. That Stingrays helped put this together for us. That was last week. And that wasn't Friday. That was earlier last week as LRPP was departing Cagliari. And then on Friday, as we were doing the show, they showed up, or just before the show, they showed up on the ship called Deo Volente in the basin right outside their own base, as it turns out. Stingray informs me this morning, and that was on Friday. And then they, of course, were lifted off the ship and into their own team base. And they posted photos on Saturday on their Instagram page and said, quote, AC-75 Luna Rosa gliding into her new home.
I think she's sexy looking.
It is the best looking boat, isn't it? I like the American Magic boat. I like the dark blue boat too. I like the way she looks, but I like certainly the colors of this boat are very classy indeed. Now the Kiwis, we told you also on Friday about what was going on in the port of Tauranga, and we thought we had tracked it down. We're pretty sure now, 4 days later, that we were in fact correct. And Stingray telling me again that boat, Baltic Spring, is set to leave Tauranga. Now, we haven't seen any pictures unless you have, Stingray, in the meantime. That boat, that ship is leaving tonight tonight. In fact, at noon today, which is Wednesday down there, noon today in New Zealand, which is 5 o'clock tonight, our time, Baltic Spring is leaving for Tarragona in Spain. We believe we've got the right ship identified. There's Tarragona, as we showed you again on Friday, just down the coast from Barcelona. And the big question remains, to get to Tarragona, are they going to go east or west? And how long is it going to take them? Silent G in Taranga. Tirana? Peter Selwyn? Tirana, is that right?
I don't think so.
No, it's Peter Selwyn's. He's a Kiwi.
I know.
Tirana. So we got problems with G's today. We don't know when to use them and when not to use them. Yeah, Prada looks like the mid-2000s McLaren's livery. Maybe that's why I like their livery so much, having spent some time with that team, as some of you will know. So there's the big picture. It says 1 minute ago, but that was actually a couple hours ago. That is the ship, according to, what is that? That is, Stingray was telling us, and that name of that is whatever that ship identification system, where they look at the ship, the AIS, which is required by international law. And the Baltic Spring, about to leave, it has a G. Now, there's James Corbett. They're arguing with each other. Peter Selwyn, who's last I knew was in Auckland, James Corbett, who must be also a Kiwi, says, no, it has a G. NG sounds like the same as in sing. They're going back and forth.
Yeah.
Ted Ryman says they will go via Suez.
Oh, we'll watch them go.
Well, we will watch them go, and we should get an idea tonight, at least, whether they're going east or west. And thank you, Stingray, for that. But look at the difference. It's certainly shorter if they go east and through the Suez, but apparently the Suez Canal
is not welcoming.
Is all mucked up. It's just all clogged up, especially west to east. We were just, Stingray and I were looking at that this morning. So if they go around Australia, either to the north or south, presumably to the north, and then up to the Suez, and if they get through the Suez and their insurance company lets them do that, and then into the eastern end of the Med, and then to Barcelona, that's what Ted Ryman says they're going to do. You know, I've been saying all along that it was a big mistake for them to run the Cup in Barcelona. And remember that time, Julia, not too long ago, I can't remember the event, they were sending one of their boats, old boats, for an event in Sardinia that was going to be held prior to the last Cup. And the boat left New Zealand, it was on a ship, and it got up almost there, and then the event got called off in Sardinia. And they had to turn around and come back to New Zealand before the last Cup.
Right.
And that boat was out. It was their boat one.
6 weeks.
Well, at least.
Yeah.
This could still be the undoing of the Kiwis. If this boat, something happens to it, God forbid. I'm not wishing this on the Kiwis, because I want this to be a terrific Cup, and I think the challengers are still going to win on the strength of the competition in the Louis Vuitton Cup. Mm-hmm. I firmly believe that, and I believe that now even more than I did a month ago or a year ago. But this could be the undoing of the Kiwis if they can't get anytime soon or at all via ship, or if somehow the ship gets interdicted. Ted Ryman says the Panama Canal is stuffed and they won't go via Cape Horn. I can't imagine they're going via Cape Horn either, but how else are they going to do it? They're not going to go east to west. They're not going to go around the Cape, around South Africa, Ted. They're not going to go past you and up. That would just, they're not going to go all the way across the Southern Ocean upwind. I can't believe that. And they're arguing back and forth now about still the pronunciation of Taranga. We'll leave that to you Kiwi experts. And there has also been a story starting, as Ed Worley is saying, starting to be thrown about, and it's rumors, it's about dollar issues with Team New Zealand. This is a fruit ship, as Stingray likes to call it. Maybe they're going to throw bananas at the Houthis.
Yeah, that's what it says, tropical fruit.
Tropical fruit. Stingray, he still can't believe that they're giving up 30-plus days of development in Barcelona. Why didn't they fly it? Well, because it would have cost them several $1 million. Gordon Smith, that is Louis Vuitton with an F. The founder had a lisp. Louis Vuitton.
Vuitton.
As they say in New Hampshire, Clark is saying you can't get there from here. Well, it's going to be interesting. We should know pretty soon after tonight if they're going east or west, and that will be interesting to follow that. Stingray, thank you for helping us with all that. In the meantime, the Brits who splashed and sailed with some success. This past weekend, they christened their boat. They named the boat, as they called it, in a naming ceremony. And the question I asked, this is, by the way, a world exclusive image. I took that as a screen grab from the video, and a lot of you were asking, where the hell did you get that picture? Mm-hmm. Well, I screen grabbed it from the video and cleaned it up a little bit, and here is the official video released by the team on Sunday.
Today, we get to name that flying machine.
I named this boat Britannia. God bless Britannia and all who sail on her.
We didn't win the last one. That's what made me want to do it again. I mean, it's sort of an addictive sport in a way, particularly now it's foiling as opposed to displacement boat. So it's become a very exciting, adrenaline-fueled sport.
That was his daughters.
It was.
Yeah, that did the co-christening, the co-commissioning, the co-naming, and a nice video with Sir James Ratcliffe. Nice video, Ed Worley agrees. And they took him sailing. And they didn't post any video of it, at least not that I have seen. Maybe others of you have, but they took him sailing and made him pedal. They made him a cyclor.
Yeah.
There he is.
Good.
That's Sir Jim. That's Jim Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
Gordon Smith, not really blown away by the name, but heck, why not? Yeah, what else are you going to call it at this stage? RB3. Will they rule the waves? And there was Jim, who lived to talk about it. Sir Ben with Sir Jim. After they took him
nice.
sailing and made him cycle. Well, he's a bicyclist, cyclor.
Well, that's
and
good.
he's a big, strong, fit guy for his age, for probably any age. And Bravo Zulu to them. They're off and running, and we shall see how good they are. John Emmett saying, yes, foiling is in the future. Back on this direction of the Kiwi ship, Ryman saying, yeah, I agree. They're not going to go through the Southern Ocean. It's winter in the Southern Hemisphere, and our Cape of Storms get pretty hectic.
No question.
And Andrew McIrvin, hello, Mr. Doctor, pointing out that it has to have Rita in the name. Do you know why, Julia?
Yes.
All of Ben Ainsley's boats have been named Rita.
After his wife.
Well, we'll let the Fosse.
I think he said that.
Maybe. I'll let the Fosse argue that one out. But maybe Andrew McIrvin knows the answer to that as well. But Rita is contained in the name.
Right.
Britannia.
Yeah.
Right? Remember that?
I thought I heard him say on an early interview that
his boats have been named Rita since way before he was married.
Yes.
Rita, Tita, meter maid. Lovely Rita, Mita maid. You know who did that song?
The Beatles.
That's all right. Well done, Julie. You're really up on you.
Oh, yeah.
Fritz Mueller asking
40 years
if
old.
it was Ben's mother. All his boats have been called Rita. Yes. Why, Andrew, Mr. Dr. McIrvin, who's coming our way in September. We are delighted. Ted Ryman, what happens if Rita divorces Ben? From the Opti Worlds, I forget what. Yeah, he named his first Optimist dinghy that he won the Worlds with, right? Did he win the Worlds, John Emmett? There's Sir Ben and Sir Jim. Now let's get to American Magic with their May report.
The month of May has been an exciting one for American Magic. We've just launched Boat 3 at the hands of Commodore Claire Harrington, which was an awesome day for our entire team. We had the families on base, we had the team members on base, the production side of our team, the engineering side of our team, and the design side of our team all would put in almost 100,000 hours into the design and manufacturing of Patriot Boat 3. It truly is a milestone for this campaign. We've come out of AC-40 two-boat racing and testing for the last 3 months, and to evolve that into really the future of American Magic and where we are going for America's Cup 37. It was a monumental day in a lot of ways, and in some ways it was us just doing our jobs and going about our business. And I think, as you saw on that day when we put Patriot in the water and went out and hoisted the sails and went for a 60-minute sail before thunderstorms rolled into Barcelona, it was business as usual for American Magic. I think in that vein, when you look towards the second half of the month of May, we have development of the boat. We have we're still a little bit in a sea trialing phase of the boat, and then we'll finish off the month with really just working on the speed side and developing the reliability that we need to have in the race yacht over the months to come.
Yeah, nice report. And the boat has looked good.
Looks better and better.
Too early to tell, really.
Yep.
Hapfouth and T. Hutch won both races at the IMA Maxi Europeans here in Sorrento today. Yes, there was a post. Thank you for that, Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin, the president, the Secretary General of the International Maxi Association. And the birthday wishes go out to Terry, because a day or two ago, I saw it on their Instagram and somebody just confirmed that. Alan Long, thank you, Alan. Yeah, and they're sailing Bellamente, which is Hapfouth's boat. So you got to keep his major contributors happy, which is why he's there in Sorrento, sailing with Hap on Bellamente and doing well, as Andrew McIrvin is just. Why didn't the Kiwis fly the boat? James Corbett is asking. I don't know the answer to that. It must be a money thing, because if you had unlimited funds, or if you had plenty of funds, they would have flown it, no question, because I'm sure they didn't want to give up a month's time or however long it's going to be, let alone the risk. The risk, cost. Yeah, there it is. John Emmett is saying, I'm sure that is right. American Magic's report. Now, here is the spy report on American Magic from yesterday. I thought was interesting.
We're here with Anderson Reggio, performance analyst at American Magic. Some fantastic conditions out here in Barcelona. Some testing, some racecourse practice, and a dramatic end. Can you break down the different focuses of the day?
Yeah, for us, we sort of had a tale of two different forecasts on the day, and fortunately, the windier one came good, so we went out there and were able to put up the smaller head sails that we haven't seen too much yet and put them through their paces. A little bit of regimented straight line testing and then into some race practice.
So you were sailing with the J3 and the J4 in this breeze. Are these your upper end sails, or have you got a J5 and a J6?
Those are the sails that we have in the inventory at the moment. As we progress through different designs and different codes of the jibs will come online as we get that further down the path.
So what are the wind ranges of the sails of the jibs we saw today?
Well, I think today we saw towards the latter half of the day there, we were averaging sort of 17 to 20 consistently, and the J4 was doing quite nice for us. We like that sail.
So you also had a new rudder in place today.
Yeah.
It looks like a development from the legacy rudder you had previously. What's the idea behind this design?
Oh, I'm not a designer on that front. It's slightly different from the previous rudder, a little bit different shape to it on the vertical, and a little bit of a different shape on the elevator, just a progression of our design path there.
Yeah, so the rudder blade is quite a lot longer than we've seen on the previous rudder. And in the light wind, we saw some quite low ride heights, and we saw a few touchdown and touch and go maneuvers. So is this rudder to compensate on that ride height?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think when everybody starts to look at sailing in a sea state here, wanting to make sure that you have enough rudder immersion to be able to accommodate bigger waves in Barcelona than what we saw last time in Auckland. That's just one of the puzzles that everybody's trying to solve.
Can we expect more rudders to be tested in the coming months?
I don't believe that this is our final rudder. Pretty sure we're going to have at least something else coming out at some stage, but I don't know exactly when.
So you've moved the cameras to the port foil from the starboard foil. What are you looking at there?
It's similar to what we were looking at the other foil last week, just trying to get some images of the foil from a different angle that we don't get from any of the other cameras that we have on board.
Is it to do with the flap movement and the mechanisms in the flap, or is it more about ventilation?
It's a bit of both, really. Yeah.
And actually, we'll end it there. Thank you, Anderson.
Okay, no problem, guys.
There we go.
Looking good in breeze. We know that they were able to get up on their foils without being towed onto the foils, and apparently plus or minus 6 knots of breeze and a bit of bump. So we shall see how that all pans out. And well, good on you, T. Hutch. And Anderson Reggio, Julia.
Yes.
I told you while we were watching a video, he is the son of the esteemed Peter Reggio.
Oh.
The famously good race officer, my longtime friend, Anderson
Yeah.
Reggio, is also a great race officer and a weather guy and just an all-around good sailor and good hand in a campaign. Good to have around. And his dad, of course, is just a peach of a guy.
Oh,
and,
terrific.
Andrew McIrvin will back me up on that because he's done any number. Luigi, Steve Gruber is saying, yeah, that's his Peter Reggio's nickname, better known probably by Luigi than either.
Yes.
And then Peter Reggio. But his son, Anderson, is with the team, and good value, no doubt. Okay, gets us to the last leg. We're only an hour and 12 minutes in today, Julie, so I promise you a little bit shorter show. I got some prep work to do for tomorrow night's show over at San Francisco Yacht Club.
Yes.
But that show's in pretty good hand, too. A couple of videos here, back to SailGP, because, it seems like... It happens now regularly. It does almost every 4 weeks. And we're about 2 weeks away from the next one, less than.
We've got a beautiful
Let me
setting
back
today.
that up. I didn't set that up properly. And I wouldn't normally play this video, but I thought this one was quite interesting. And since we haven't yet talked, I don't think, enough about the Spanish win, the great job these guys did in winning in Bermuda, and of course they're now doing the Olympic thing as well as SailGP. Have a look at this cool video out just today from SailGP.
We've got a beautiful setting today as we bring to close the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
Great opportunity for the Spanish here. You're up against the big guns. Let's see what you got.
Kiwis are setting up for a low start. Let's go early and do a taglera way behind. They are going quite late. Let's go all the way. Stay high. It's going to be hard for them. We're going to go through over the top, guys.
Right-hand side of our screen, that's the downwind end of the line. Most teams will want to be there. Most teams are going to be able to have a run up. Spain and Australia and New Zealand up on the foils. Spain looking a little late on proceedings here.
Okay, full speed. Yeah, let's go. We are kind of late, eh?
Yes. No more. Straight at the line, mate.
Yeah.
It's go here, the Spanish, what a move. They've slung onto the inside, timed it well. Fastest angle with New Zealand, but the Spanish have the tactical inside position. New Zealand are going to have to open the afterburners from here.
As they approach mark number 1, it is Spain out in front with New Zealand and Australia. This is the event final, the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
Away in 5, 3, 2, 1, down. Very fast mode. Which mark is favored, Cardania, with the shift and everything? This is what we need to think about.
There are the wind speeds. The Spanish are in better breeze and a better shift there.
Look at that. Remember, it was an 8-second difference at gate 2. Already the black foils have, well, it's got to be down to 2 seconds at most there.
Looks like we have some really nice gains.
I think we need to go with this pressure.
We're not crossing.
Okay.
Good angle of the wind for Spain at the moment. They're sailing nicely up the ladder lines, but right of way with New Zealand in the background, they get a little high. Ooh, good catch. The Spanish are going to have to think about this. Do they turn in front of Spain? I think you try and turn in front of New Zealand if you can.
But this is what it is. We cannot do it.
Yeah, they set up right.
Nice, good pressure here. Looks good. Very lot of speed.
They still continue. I have eyes on them.
Comes on the cross with them.
Yes, I'm fully on them. When they tack, I will go to leeward.
Pressing. Full speed.
Yeah, keep pressing. The Blackpools would be trying to put the disturbed air onto Spain, but I think the Spanish actually sailed an angle a little bit away from the wind to tactically position for this move. Absolutely neck and neck at that bottom mark there. 1 second in it, there's nothing in it.
All good, no rush, okay? No rush. We're ahead. Looking at 65. Not too much, eh? Come on, keep it safe, Joey.
Bottin and Trittle have absolutely nailed this one. They put a brilliant race together after a perfect start.
Diego Bottin comes around this last mark, winners in Los Angeles, and give it up for the Spanish. They will claim the victory here in Bermuda.
Oh, vamos the Gallas. What an incredible result, and well done to that crew, because they nailed the start when the pressure was on.
We now go on board with Lisa Darmanin, who is standing by with the winners, Spain.
How special does that win, Nicole? It was amazing to have a battle with the Aussies and the Kiwis, who are clearly two of the top teams, and to be able to fight with them hand on hand and come out on top, it's an amazing feeling.
Did you hear how impressive Nicole van der Velden sounds in that back and forth? She's playing a big role on that boat.
Yes.
She's playing with Diego Bottin and co. She's playing a big role on that boat, and impressive.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to play that video.
Yeah,
because I like it.
That video was also way above the last SailGP video I've seen.
Well, they've had 2 weeks to produce it. You're absolutely right. But isn't that cool?
Yes.
I'm glad we did that. Glad we ran that. Bravo Zulu. And to Nicole and to that whole team. They've won 2 events.
Yes.
Bloody
Great.
hell, cool stuff.
Yeah.
The next event is going up to Nova Scotia. Oh, that's loud. The Rockwell.
And for the first time in SailGP,
Halifax SailGP, the Canada SailGP. Early forecast. Come on, Stingray. That's 2 weeks from now or 10 days from now. Forecast excellent breeze. Greg Gordon saying, thanks for sharing that video. She indeed does play a huge role. I assume she's Dutch, right? I don't know her well. Nicole and Diego had great teamwork, Clark Chapin agreeing. So we'll look forward to this event and see if they can win another one, or at least do well, the 1st and the 2nd of June, up in Halifax for SailGP. Then after Halifax, it's where? New York, New York. And then out here for the grand finale here in San Francisco in, June? Is it June or July? Okay, back and forth. A lot of comments. I'm not going to go cover all those, but lots of, as you like to say, Julio, go back.
Yeah, read the comments.
You never know. You might learn something from our very intelligent, worldly. I like that word worldly, as
Yes.
you know.
And they are.
Fozy. Okay, gets us to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And see how I didn't put the non-sailing CEO in this segment because I didn't want everybody to have to. It's, evening in Europe, and you got to let them have a drink.
Right.
I moved it earlier in the show. I was criticized for having it at the end of the show. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. This from the esteemed New York Yacht Club Vice Commodore. She is a musician. Did you know that she was the organist for quite a number of years, as well as teaching music at St. George's?
Oh, I didn't.
The Tony private school there in Middletown in Newport, where I used to coach hockey.
Wow.
I was the assistant hockey coach, and Robin Wallace was the late, great Robin Wallace, who many of you will know from sailing, yachting, was the doctor.
Wow.
On call was for years and years. Well, this from Claire, the musician, as well as the Vice Commodore, New York Yacht Club Vice Commodore. She tried to be good, but she's also, I get the impression Claire's just got a little twinkle in her eye.
Well, I should hope so.
If you know what I mean.
Yes.
She tried to be good, but knew she couldn't resist the shack, which I guess the shack was where they hung out, and falling under the spell of the rebel with an accordion. The rebel with a cause. And Julie Aaron, speaking of women, who is also a rebel with a cause, she is a big supporter of Team New Zealand and a big supporter of us in this show, by the way. Thank you, Julie, for your support. Really cool to hear a woman's voice. Sounded like she really making decisions. I love it.
Yes.
Clark Chapin says his son has an accordion. but that's not what his wife what?
Fell for him.
Oh, that's not why his wife fell for him. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Commodore. Vice Commodore Claire Harrington. This also, the idea is to die young as late as possible. Now, who would send that?
Graham.
No, Ryman.
Oh, Ryman.
Ryman sent that.
Oh, that's his thing.
That's his thing. Go fast on a motorcycle, or in this case, it looks like a jet-fueled
tricycle.
Go-kart.
Yeah, go-kart. Yeah.
Go-kart. Now, this one is funny. When we're back to sailing, well, you almost made it except your language when docking.
I know.
That came from Peter Taylor. We like to bookend the show. Peter at the top of the show with Pango, Julia. Not correct. Pongo, Pongo. Pongo, Peter and Julia.
Yes.
At least you didn't say Pago. At least you knew there was an N in there. I gave you credit. A little bit of credit. And that's it.
Pongo sounds better than Pango.
Yeah, it does, for sure. It sounds American. It sounds like a bit of an Australian twang or an American twang. That gets us to the finish line. Bravo, Zulu, and Julia. You like to say...
Oh, please. Like, follow, and particularly share. This is a good season to share because everybody's got their oars in one of these things.
See, Andrew McIrvin is usurping. See, and I didn't even go to Stanford, and I know the word usurp. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
He's usurping the banjo joke. The definition of a gentleman is someone who can play the accordion, but does not.
No.
See, I thought it was banjo. That's in fact Claire knowing that I play the banjo. I don't play the accordion, thank God. Julia, like, follow, and share, as you said. Comments are welcome, even in replay. Thanks again to all of you who support us via Patreon. Become a patron if you're not already. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. And Alan Long says, yeah, it is kind of like the banjo. Wango Tango, everyone. Well, even Wango, it's Wangi. They don't even use the ang. It's not wangy, wangy. Oh, with Jody there, you'd never know. It might be wanky. Thanks to everybody who gives us images, video, and audio for today's show. Final thoughts, Julia.
No, I look forward to finding my marine forecaster. I mean, follower.
Maritime Traffic.
Yeah, maritime traffic.
.com or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's three of them, and so we can follow that ship.
Yeah. No, that's real. It's really good. It'll follow any ship, our yacht, or whoever's on.
Ships. Some yachts turn off their AIS famously during yacht races, which is even when required to run them because they don't want the competition knowing. Oh, our AIS just broke. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, so sorry about that. Yeah.
But, we used to do a lot of yacht racing without AISs. Automated information system, is that what AIS? But anyway, it sends the GPS of the ship up to the satellites, and then you crowdsource that data, and you got it all in one place.
I remember waiting in Honolulu many days for the 10 o'clock report from sea.
The radio reports.
The radio reports.
Yeah, well, we're 10 miles off.
Yeah.
Off Molokai Channel Light. Yeah, whatever. Okay, thanks, everybody. Yeah. We hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll follow that Kiwi ship. And we hope to see you back here on Friday, same time, same channel, and we'll do it all again. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun.
Absolutely.
Ciao for now.